Welcome to Behind the Lighting, episode 1. So I know a few of you have asked for me to go through each of the songs and explain my lighting choices. And so that's what this is, Behind the Lights. So first episode, we're going to start out just going in order of the songs. We're going to start out with The Horse and the Infant. But before then, we should probably talk about my house preset, which is what we are currently on now. The house preset is basically what you see when you're walking into the theater. This is how the stage would be set up, exactly what you would see. I went with bright colors because I wanted it to be more upbeat, happy before we go into the story, and then it goes downhill pretty quickly. So I chose a lot of oranges and mainly yellows here, and then we also have a few white wash lights which I have, which actually they aren't perfectly white, but I can do this. So those are the lights I'm talking about. Those are two 10 different wash lights, 5 from each side, and those are more of a beige than anything. They're slightly yellow, but they're more of like a beige than everything else. I should probably go over, before we begin, my lighting rig. So the lighting rig is basically all the lights that I have in this. So let me go to Q out, which basically puts all lights in their home presets. First thing I should go over is my front lights. You see these periodically. They're not really used much throughout the show. Main use is probably Open Arms and Love in Paradise. Those are the main times that I remember using them. But these are split up into 3 in the back. We got left, center, and right. And then we have about a few of them in the front. So we have that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so they're even. I basically use all of them unless it's a specific scene. But most of the time for front lighting, I use my good old very light VL what are these VL 2000s, I want to say. I actually forget. Are these I want to say they're VL 2000s. I can double check really quick. VL 3000s, I was wrong. So they're very light VL 3000s, and these are my spot fixtures throughout the show. So these are the 9 I have at the front right here. You will constantly see these moving. It's a mess throughout. But yeah, those are the 9 that I'm using. They're very often anything you see on that back wall are these 9 lights. Originally, when I was programming it, I just had 5. So you see in the first few cues, I have these 5 here. These 5 are the originals. Let me do this real quick. I grab these and then just tilt them. Not blinding you, but so you can see the lights. So these ones that are moving there, these 5, these are the 5 main original fixtures of the show. Other originals are the very lights all above. I believe there's about 24 of them there. 24 above, those are used all throughout. Then we have about 30 wash lights, which are very bright there. But let me bring in the zoom. So those are my 30 wash lights. I can do 918, so you can see all the different colors throughout them. Those are all my wash lights. When I mean 918, that's an effect number. I use etc EOS to program all these. Continuing throughout the rig so far, we then have my backlights, which you see a lot, which are split into the bottom and top parts. Those are just those are standard par lights that I have hidden back there. Look very cool. And then the other main lights that you see me use very frequently throughout are these side wash lights. These were not original to my first design. I've added these later on, but these are one of the best lights I have added, and you see I use them throughout the show. I've literally gone back to earlier cues and added them. because of how much I've used them. They are amazing. I've also added a few backlights, which there's a lot of them. I believe it is not that group. I forget what group number I made it. But I have red side lighting. I have blue side lighting. I have a dark blue there and a light blue up top. And then I have white down below for Athena at the very end, which I will talk about that once we get to that episode, which will be in quite a while. Then I have 10 breakup lights, which add breakups to the back. So that's all 10 of them on. I have red, which is split up into 2 of them. Or, sorry, 4, 2 on each side. So we have one side, we have outside basically on the top 2, and then we have inside on the bottom 2. Those were actually added for Monster. Then I have this breakup, which is kind of just clouds that I made kind of pink-ish. Love it. That's mainly used in Suffering. And then I have these orange, which also, like the red, are split up into 4. And that's used in Scylla, mainly, is the reason I added those. But it's also used throughout. I also have these side lights, which I don't use much. They do have an attachment on them to allow me to change the color. I honestly don't really like them that much, but I have them in the design because there's some parts of the show that I use them that I don't really want to lose. I then also have, if I quickly, actually, no, I won't do that. Then I have some top lights here, or backlights. Actually, I should do that. Give me a quick second. If I go to my opening, where I have Odysseus up there, and I do that, these are my backlights, or backside lights that I use, basically if anyone's standing up center. So Odysseus during the opening is the main reason I use them, and then Zeus also in the opening is when I use them most. So I got white there for Athena. I have red, just because it's a good color to have. I have blue for Odysseus, which is actually used in the opening. And then I have yellow for Zeus. And then I also have 2 more over on the side for Zeus for later on in the opening. That basically runs us through all the lights. The only other ones are this 90 degree. I say 90 degree. It is actually on the back of the proscenium. The proscenium is the main arch of the theater. So if I go to the queue, this arch you see here, this is known as the proscenium, because this is a proscenium theater. And so it's actually on the back of this, which I can actually pan around and show you. This is, oh, whoops. This is the light rig of Epic the Musical here. Trying to get a good angle. That's a pretty good angle. You can see some of the pars off to the side over here. You can see my side lights, and you see the mess of lights plus the 90 degree one. That is my lights that I use throughout the show. And then we also have a lot of front side lights on the side of the proscenium. Those are breakups and also Cyclops lights. And now let me jump back. There we are, back to the view that everyone should know. Now, I don't even know how long we're in. We're 9 minutes into this video, and I haven't even gotten to the first cue. Let's get to it. Cue 1 of Horse and the Infant, which, if we're running, you would hear this.
All right, my brothers, listen closely.
Which is the, as you know, the very opening of the show. In this cue, I wanted it to be more subtle than anything because they're inside the Trojan horse. They wouldn't be yelling. There wouldn't be mass, crazy moving lights. I just wanted it to be nice, simple, and also dark because they're meant to be inside the Trojan horse. So I chose blue as a very good dark color, which then turns out to be later on Odysseus's color. Kind of like how Jorge has different musical or melodic ways to work with characters and instruments. I do the same with lighting. So Odysseus is blue. You see it all the time through monster, um, Warrior of the Mind. I have a few blues in there. Not really for Odysseus. Opening. Those are the monsters. The main one that I can think of. But I use it. You see it throughout the show. Also at the very end, will be fine. I use it because, like with the music, there are also familial colors. So Odysseus's entire family is actually blue. So Telemachus, Odysseus, and Penelope are all blue. So let's continue running through, and then once we get to the next cue, I will then explain my choices.
Tonight we make the Trojans pay. 10 years of war, they killed us slowly. But now we'll be the ones who slay. Think of your wives and your children. Your families wonder where you've been. They're growing old and yet you're still here. Do what I say and you'll see them again. Yes, sir! Diomedes will lead the charge. Agamemnon will flank the guard.
So now we're on the next cue. So for this part, I wanted it to be more like they're getting ready to go to war. You see people starting to stand up, grab some weapons, start preparing, stretching, getting ready to go and fight. So I wanted to bring in more color, but also keep it dark. So that's why I have my wash lights above as like a yellow orangish, and then we have the front light filling in with the red to keep the darker aspect of it, but also add a little bit more so you can start seeing people and seeing people start preparing. Also, to keep with the red theme, I have the red side lights on Odysseus up above, along with continuing the blue side lighting that I had in the previous cue. Moving on.
Menelaus will let our mates through the gates to take the whole city at large. Teucer will shoot any ambush attacking. Little Ajax will stay back. Nestor, secure Helen and protect her. Neo, avenge your father, kill the brothers of Hector. Yes, sir. Find that inner strength now. Use that well of pride.
Next, we have Find Your Inner Strength. So in this, I wanted it to just add a little bit more to what I previously had. So now there's white light instead of blue on Odysseus, along with the red. And we get our column lights. Those are actually just movers that basically sit used on the columns throughout the entire show. So anytime you see the columns lit up, it is those 6 lights. If it's not those 6, it's probably the side lights that I have down on stage level on the sides. 99% of the time, it is going to be those 6 lights up above. I use them throughout the show. They do not move, basically. You see them periodically throughout the show moving, like the main attacking in this, the Battle of Troy, you see them in. You also see them moving in Storm, Full Speed Ahead, and Warrior of the Mind are the main 3 that they are used in other than column lights. And so I added a little bit more. I used the same orange yellowish I used as a wash light on the columns just to add a little bit more color, a little bit more anticipation in the air of what is about to happen as we're getting ready to go to war. Continuing on.
Fight through every pain now. Ask yourself inside what you live for, what you try for, what you wish for, what do you fight for? What do you live for? What do you try for? What do you wish for? What do you fight for?
So there, I have the side lights turn on, and then I have them turn off. I timed it, so I just hit go on what do you live for, and so they turn on for the first part of Odysseus, and then as the crew responds, they turn off. So that's just to add a little bit of... I needed to add a little bit more there, and so those were the lights that were free and available. And so I added a little bit more for that orange, which I kind of used throughout for the crew. It's not used as much as blue for Odysseus, but it's used throughout for the crew. Especially in Monster, I use that gold. And so I have it turn off, and we also transition to this reddish pink of them getting ready to go to war. Because that's all that's been happening so far is Odysseus is giving orders and they're preparing and getting ready to go to war. And continuing on now. Here is a great use of those side lights. I have to quickly look. Okay, none of those are on. Okay. I was just checking if any of my front lights were on. They are not. So this is one light on Odysseus, and then the top row of backlights are on blue. Blue for being Odysseus, along with the column lights. Those are also blue for Odysseus. But then we have the bottom part, which is red, and that is for the war that's about to happen. That is to give light so the rest of the crew can be prepping and like in slow motion, basically, as Odysseus is having this moment for himself, talking it through. And then we're going to continue on. If you ever see the backlights flash, that's me running a macro. There's a bug in the software where lights will flash on that I have no control about. And sometimes some lights stay on and I have to update them. And so I just have a quick macro to flash those bottom lights just to basically reset the system and be like, hey, no, this isn't meant to be illuminated. So if you see that, that's what I'm doing.
Penelope and Telemachus, I fight for us, I fight for us.
What do you live for?
Penelope.
What do you try for?
Telemachus.
What do you wish for?
I'm on my way.
What do you fight for?
So here, I wanted some dynamic between the crew and Odysseus, because we're meant to be going back, and from what I'm seeing from this is we're going back and forth between the crew and Odysseus. So whenever the crew are talking, saying like, what do you live for? It's red, and then it restores to blue for Odysseus, Penelope, and for those. And so then that continues. What do you try for? Restore back for Odysseus' response. What do you wish for? Go back to his response. What do you fight for? We wait, and then he says, attack.
Attack!
So here is a great use of those column lights, which you can see actually do move in, and they are actually a part of this, I believe. Actually, that's a lie. They are not a part of this. However, they do move. These lights I have moving around just to kind of be crazy, draw attention away from the back. And then we're just having a full out battle sequence here. Hence why I have these lights going, moving, acting as spotlights. It's just to draw attention and just add a little bit more anticipation because we're fighting now. Let me switch over quickly to Horse and Infant 2 preset for my characters here in my visualizer, and then we shall continue on. Chose red. I chose red here mainly because it's a battle. There's blood. It's meant to be a mess. Red just really fits that vibe. So here, when Zeus shows up with his lights and everything, I have this, which I may actually change in the future. I'm not sure, but I like it here. So basically, we have light on Odysseus, and we have a little bit, or like not much on Zeus, which is how I wanted it. I kind of want Zeus to be hidden, basically, for this part. But yeah, there's a little bit of light still out there, other than Odysseus. There's a bit of red on the rest of the stage as wash lights, but the main draw is on Odysseus here. So that way, because we just had he's having a vision currently, so make it bright lights right on him, side lighting, and just focus on him quickly is what we're doing here.
What was that?
A vision of...
This is actually a new change that hasn't actually been updated in my recordings. However, I do like this a lot more. Here, we do not have a spotlight on Zeus. However, we have backlighting on Zeus. Backlighting is using lights from the back of the stage to basically, or in this case, this is top lighting mainly, but it's also top backlighting. It gives a cool effect where you can't see people's features, but you can see their silhouette. I love using this because it allows you to draw attention to them. However, they do not show their face, basically. So it's allowed to keep people secret and kind of more intimidating in this case. And then we have our side washes turn on red to kind of fill in the stage a little bit, just to add a little bit of texture. And then of course we have the bottom backlights working currently.
What is to come cannot be outrun, can only be dealt with right here and now.
Tell me how.
I don't think you're ready. A mission.
So here at a mission, we have the side lights moving and the back lights turn off. This is to add some anticipation for what Zeus is saying, because he's saying, oh, you have to go on a mission for this. And basically, it's just to amp up the audience and be like, what's going to happen next? Because now it's starting to go a bit crazy.
To kill someone's son, a foe who won't run, unlike anyone you have faced before.
Say no more. I know that I'm ready.
I don't think you're ready.
So that transition is to go basically prep us for Just a Man. And so what it is it's Zeus out immediately, red lights, side wash lights and wash lights out after a second. So Zeus goes out 0.1 seconds later. The side washes and wash lights go out a second later, and then the rest of it fades over 5 seconds. And so this is just to add some transition. So those spots that I have on him that are tight white spots actually zoom out and fade to blue as they're going out to kind of transition into Just a Man, but also focus on Odysseus because now he has the infant. He's seeing the infant. He's seeing who he has to kill. And if we're trying to figure out if he's prepared for it. The stars in the back are because of it's nighttime. And also, I think it just personally looks pretty having that. So that's why I went with it. It looks pretty and it fits the scene and time.
It's just an infant.
And then also I need to switch over to Horse and Infant 3 for that quickly.
It's just a boy. What sort of imminent threat does he pose that I cannot avoid?
This is the son of none other than Troy's very own.
And then it's the exact same thing as before, having that backlight on Zeus. However, he's just moved over now. That's the only difference. It's the exact same scene. It's just Zeus moved over with backlighting on him.
Prince Hector, know that he will grow from a boy to an avenger, one fumed with rage as you're consumed by age. If you don't end him now, you'll have no one left to save. You can say goodbye to Penelope. You can say goodbye to Penelope.
I could raise him as my
Burn your
own, or
house
send him far away to.
So some of you may be thinking, why don't I add a light cue there? Main reason I don't add it is because I want to keep it simple, and I don't think we need to add anything there. Could the show be improved by adding a cue there? Yes, but I'd rather focus on Odysseus and Zeus themselves, and specifically Odysseus fighting with himself about what he has to do now that he's just learned what he has to do. And so adding a light cue there, I personally don't know what I would add there. I could add another light that brings in another color, but also I like it just simple here. Like we're trying to focus on the moment that we're in and what he has to deal with. That's why I don't have a light cue there.
Please don't make me do this. Don't make me do this.
The blood on your hands is something you won't lose. All you can choose is lose.
And we have made it to the end of The Horse and the Infant. So our final cue is all you can choose is lose. And that just brings Zeus out because Zeus has gone away. He's not here anymore. The vision has ended. He has told Odysseus what he needs to do. And now we just have Odysseus and the infant in the stars. And that is where we're going to end episode 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, please like, subscribe, comment, interact with us any way you like. I do read all the comments, so if you want to give me feedback or anything, let me know. I do read all the comments. And then next episode will be Just a Man. And so we'll just go in order of all the songs. And that's all. Hope you guys enjoy. Have a great rest of your day.